So you probably have been hearing a lot about what's going on right now within the US around the Federal Reserve and crypto, because now the Fed is basically going all in on crypto. And this is very important, especially considering the fact that we now do have SAB 121 repealed and the banks basically have a green light. We have to talk about this. There's a lot to address, so sit back, relax. Welcome to the channel, everyone. My name is Nick. For those that are new to the channel, hopefully by the end of this video, you do become a subscriber. Let's dive on into what Eleanor put out over on X regarding this. So we have the narrative around crypto is changing at the Federal Reserve. In a pair of speeches on Friday, Republican Fed governors Michelle Bowman and Christopher Waller both signaled a more open stance towards digital assets and their future in the financial system. Their words are notable because, number one, Trump will likely choose one of them to replace Michael Barr as the next vice chair for supervision, which oversees regulation and how the Fed interacts with banks and crypto. And two, they represent a shift in tone and attitude, as they both previously voted for policies that made it harder for banks to engage with crypto. Both also voted against Custodia Bank's application to become a member of the Fed Reserve System. In her speech on February 7th, Bowman emphasized the importance of clear and sensible regulation that encourages financial innovation rather than stifling it. She acknowledged that past regulatory approaches like excessive de-risking will not be effective for emerging technologies like crypto. She also noted that the soft power of supervision should not be used to discourage new technologies and warned that an excessive focus on safety and soundness could threaten long-term innovation in the banking system. Bank regulatory policy should address the needs of the unbanked and expand the availability of banking services. It should not be used to limit or exclude access to banking services for legitimate customers and businesses, she said. In his speech, Waller said that stablecoins will broaden the reach of the dollar and strengthen its position as the world's reserve currency as long as there's good regulation to support them. So again, the entire shift around crypto from the Fed is very clear here, but this is not where, things stopped. In fact, Congress, there was a massive update regarding Congress on crypto. Ron Hammond put out a great post on this, and we have this week in Congress and crypto. While last week Congress focused on debanking of the crypto industry under the last admin, this week will be much more forward-looking. On deck are hearings, teeing up the first crypto bill vote, and more agency moves. Here's what to watch for. Not to state the obvious, but things have been busy and it won't be slowing down anytime soon. While the Senate will largely be focusing on nominations, the House has started their slew of hearings. For crypto noms, there is still no word on timing for the SEC and no CFTC nom yet, which, yes, we did get a CFTC nom. I will talk about that here in a second. But we also have tomorrow afternoon will be the first digital asset subcommittee hearing, which we did get a lot of updates around. This is basically that golden age for crypto. This is the starting gun for Congress's work on crypto. Additionally, last week at the David Sachs press conference, the House and Senate leads introduced differing stablecoin bills. It seems the Senate will largely take lead on stablecoins, as market structure will be the House. All of this work will be under the backdrop of a fast-moving political climate. Likely, we will see many of the Democrats at the hearing focus their attention on the CFPB and other admin moves. Crypto has a strong bipartisan track record, but partisan politics is always a threat. In addition to the House hearing on crypto, Fed Chair Powell will be in front of the Senate and House this week. Crypto has come up occasionally in these hearings, especially along the lines of stablecoins and the work Congress intends to finish this year for regulation. Speaking of stablecoins, Maxine Waters just dropped her version of the stablecoin bill, still reviewing it, but another different position on stablecoins, 3 versions from 3 key players. The congressional desire to pass stablecoin legislation soon is strong. It seems the first crypto bill, though, to get a vote in 2025 will be on tax. Ted Cruz did hit the magic number of 30 supporters to start a vote to roll back the IRS broker rule, which drastically hampers DeFi. Likely vote in the coming weeks. Like the past weeks, it is likely we will see more announcements on coordination and mapping out what the work stream will look like at the respective agencies. To the credit of the agencies, it has been night and day in terms of transparency and outreach for what comes next. Lastly, on the agency side, worth flagging behind the scenes that they have been staffing up with several key hires. Good personnel make good policy, and this is as close as an A team as you can get. Get ready. Things are moving fast in DC, so stay tuned. And yes, if we think about that, right, let's first start off with what Chair Powell has mentioned. Justin, Fed Chair Powell says he is struck at the growing number of cases of Bitcoin and crypto firms that were debanked, and he is determined to take a fresh look at that. Check this out.
Just look at the mess the Fed made of Silicon Valley Bank. And I contend that there is a lack of understanding that is deliberate on the part of the Fed with respect to digital asset policy. So the Constitution says Congress is your boss, but somehow your staff have not gotten that message. So, Chairman Powell, do you commit on behalf of yourself and the Federal Reserve staff to comply fully with all document demands issued by this committee in a timely manner?
Sure.
Will you instruct your staff to be complete in their responses and not to obstruct the oversight functions of this committee?
You know, we always work with the committee to be responsive to your requests. Sometimes they're beyond our capacity to respond to, and we work with committee and with committee staff to do that, but we're always responsive to committee requests.
And I'll look forward to engaging with you when you feel that our requests are outside of the scope of the oversight that we have over the Fed. Do you commit to disciplining or removing any staff that are found to have engaged in debanking activity, furthering Operation Choke Point 2.0, or other misconduct?
I can't make an open-ended commitment to remove anybody, but I will tell you that I am struck, and my colleagues and I are struck by the growing number of cases of what appears to be debanking, and we're determined to take a fresh look at that. In fact, I took the thing that you showed during the debanking hearing. When I saw that, we're now taking that out of the manual. So I thank you for that.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My time's up.
So, yeah, I mean, listen, we are starting to see some very big moves happening from the Fed. For an example, over here we have Fed Chair Jerome Powell says the Federal Reserve won't block banks from serving legal crypto customers. This actually happened the next day after this hearing, which was a very big update. So it seems as though the Federal Reserve has completely flipped their stance on crypto and is now going all in on opening the doors to crypto for the big banks. And I think that this is going to be a major shift. I think that this is going to start almost a domino effect around the institutional side of things when it comes to crypto adoption and acceptance, and even also, services being offered to customers. Now, on top of this, we also have another big update regarding Powell, which is this. In Fed-regulated banks, there's lots of crypto activities happening now. This is actually a very big statement from Jerome Powell. Big shout to Subjective Views for this. Check this out.
Well, the Senate just filed a bill called the Genius Act. I'm always worried about anything that comes over from the Senate with the title Genius in it. But it is an attempt to provide a regulatory framework for cryptocurrency. And in that proposal, which is similar in some respects to the House proposal, it would allow individual states to oversee issuers, and there would be no central federal authority. The idea is to disperse the responsibility from state to state. My concern, my overriding concern, is that with that spread of and expansion of crypto, and the president is 100% behind it. He just started his own meme coin. He's making a lot of money off of that, which is another issue. My concern is that the spread of an expansion of crypto will infect the traditional banking system because it's a volatile speculative asset, and we've seen some very sudden disasters with crypto. I'm just wondering, are there any backstops that we can use, any firewalls that we can put in place that might insulate the traditional banking system, because they have access to the discount window and they're FDIC insured, so there may be, second order impacts if we have a collapse of a major crypto issuer. Are there any extra things that we can do to protect the traditional banking system?
Yes. So first, I would say there are really two things that are happening. One is banks are serving crypto customers, and we don't want to get in the way of banks serving perfectly legal customers as long as they understand the risks and that sort of thing. We don't want to single out any particular.
Are you speaking to custody?
Well, custody is more. The second thing is
Right.
undertaking activities
Okay.
on their own, right? And in that case, I do think it's appropriate to as usual, as bank supervisors, make sure that we understand and banks understand the risks that are involved in the activity that they're taking inside an insured depository. On the other hand, you don't want to go too far. I think there were a bunch of disasters, as we all remember, and we don't want to. And we were reacting to some extent to those. You don't want to go so far as to overplay your hand on that. So I think we need to be mindful that many of these activities can very well be done inside of banks, and custody may well be one of them. In fact, in Fed-regulated banks, there are lots of crypto activities happening now. They've just happened under a framework where we made sure that the bank understood and we understood exactly what they're doing.
So this is actually a huge statement, and it's something that, we've definitely speculated on, but hearing it from the Fed really kind of confirms it. I mean, this is a very big deal because if they are already offering some, crypto services, imagine where we are going to be in, the next 12 months, especially with how the growing adoption of tokenization and even custody services is becoming. So that's definitely a big deal to me. But last but not least, I think that the biggest thing that we should be prepared for is the regulatory framework that is coming. So we actually have over here, big shout to Smoke Dog, the regulatory framework for digital finance in the US is unfolding in real time and the pace is accelerating. The President's Working Group on Digital Asset Markets has outlined a structured timeline signaling key milestones towards full regulatory clarity. On the 22nd of this month, that's 1/3, which is the review and revision of existing financial laws to align with digital asset markets. Then March 24th is 2/3, which is identification of new laws needed to fill regulatory gaps. Then by July 24th, we should have this completely finished with the final framework compiled and submit it to the President for approval. After July 24th, the first federal crypto asset legislation will be sent to the President for approval. This will mark a historical shift, laying the groundwork for mainstream adoption, institutional involvement, and a clearer path forward for the industry. The clock is ticking, and this is very important to pair with what we just found out from the Fed, because if banks, major regulated banks, are already offering lots of crypto activities, essentially, and we now have the regulatory path pretty much coming to us in a very fast way, almost all of this is aligning perfectly for mass institutional grade adoption and ultimately mainstream adoption as well to happen. I would argue in the next, I think that it all starts towards the end of summer. It starts. When will it hit its peak? Well, it's going to take years for that, just like the internet, but it's going to be a very prosperous time to be a crypto holder, to be a crypto visionary. And I think that a lot of what we do talk about on this channel is starting to be realized in, especially when it comes to Ripple and XRP, because again, we know how big XRP has become. We know how big Ripple is becoming as well globally. So yeah, it feels as though all of the obstacles are getting torn down, and it looks like the big players like the Fed are now switching up. This is a big deal. So with that being said, up, if you guys enjoyed this video, if you guys definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on because of more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord on the description below. And with that being said, guys, it's been Nick. Thanks for watching. Peace out.